Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back to the channel. This is an update to the HappyModel Trainer90. You won't recognize this frame because the Trainer90 frame broke. If you missed that first review, it was actually quite short because it died within probably 40 seconds of the first flight. I'll put that right up here. And the frame broke. The frame was much too thin, it was much too brittle, and it just didn't last. Matter of fact, I'll just tell you now, I clipped a tree with a prop, I believe, and it broke enough of the carbon fiber on the old frame that I was able to start my flight back to land, and in the process it wobbled and broke itself loose. With these motors, I had kind of bragged, I guess, to say about how smooth they were, and they are, but unfortunately, as you can see here, maybe the motor stems are brittle. If you're wondering about this frame, this is the Mira frame from Flex RC, and there's one thing I wanted to bring out that I thought was pretty ingenious, quite frankly. You see this hole here on each side? That works perfectly for our antenna to come through. We don't have to fuss with trying to secure it in here, or run it out back, or glue it along the side of our camera mount or anything. That hole in there just works perfectly for some short little mount. And even if you wanted to have it extended out back, then you could put a zip tie back here and run it out back this way from underneath so you don't have it up top. But that's, freedom of choice. You can do anything you want. The one deficiency I do think is these clips are kind of small and hard to get to. But I think to redesign this much would take, we might have to come straight off of here. And then I don't know what it would do to it structurally. So there might be a very good reason why it's in here and it's very tight. Maybe we need to rotate this whole centerpiece clockwise 90 degrees or counterclockwise 90 degrees so that these little nubs are here on these sides, and then the front and the back would be this way, because there is more space in here. We might be able to get our fingers in there, because getting this in there, actually, I couldn't get it with my fingers. I would have to use a tool. I would loop the little rubber band on there and then kind of get it to slide off around the little nub. That's really the only deficiency I see with the frame. Let's go ahead and take a look at the little bit of flight footage that I do have. As you can see, this isn't my normal flying field, so to speak. There's no tuning that has happened here. But as you can see there's our 10-year-old, and she's out walking. This is something she does quite regularly. And I quickly grabbed a battery and went for a little fly while she was out doing her walking. And this is something she does often. She says it clears her mind. It's something that we started with the kids years and years ago. We have a nice little trail by our house, not far, and we would take the kids down a walk around that trail and see what we see and talk and get away from the electronics and get away from the house and just kind of be together for a while. And the walk doesn't take long. It's 30 to 40 minutes, so it was about the right amount of time for the kids, and that is something that she has continued to do, and you can see that she's paying attention. She notices, but she also knows I'm outside. This in many regards reminds me of some of the days 2 or maybe 2.5 to 3 years ago that I spent flying a lot of brushed 8mm micros. You might find those still quite heavily used in some regards, and many of you might have a few in your closet just yet. But the flight performance with these particular motors is very, very similar. It's not going to blow your mind when it comes to speed, and it's also not going to have any great amount of thrust that's all too surprising from today's 8mm and possibly either other sized brushed motors. Ooh, that was a bit of a close call with her there. But I do a few little punches here and there, and you get to see how it flies around. You kind of see it's jittering around a little bit, and if you take a close look at the clouds, you do see that we have a storm brewing, and that's another reason why I quickly grabbed a battery, which is a Beta FPV 550 high volt single cell, and headed outside to do a little bit of flying. I try to get some flying in every day, and if I can get some outside, I will do that as well. But as you can see, for something that's this small, this light, with a slight breeze outside, it flies pretty well. This is one of the few vehicles I feel okay about flying out in front of the house, because there is quite a few kids in the neighborhood, and you never know when one of them is going to pop out from behind a tree or come walking up on you. And we also have people who just walk through the neighborhood and they come down to the cul-de-sac. And in these days where it's nicer, we tend to get a lot more of that activity. So I tend to keep my more powerful, faster flights strictly in the backyard. The flight time on this is going to end up being just a little bit over 3 minutes. I believe it's 3 minutes and about 15 seconds. So that's what you can expect for a similar model. I think I will probably put some more motors on this and give some Sunny Sky motors a try, see what they're like. I doubt they'll be quite as smooth, but they might be more powerful and they might be more durable. Typically, I don't fly in the front, and one of the reasons is because crashing does come down, and sometimes when you land, unluckily, on the cement or an immovable object, you can result in a catastrophic breakage. While this flight is landing here, I'm going to do one more little bit. During this section, we're just going to go over to the fireplace. I'm going to show you what sort of punch it does have. And this is going to be the end of that particular motor that broke the motor stem. We're going to go over to the chimney. I think I said fireplace a minute ago. I meant chimney. I thought this was a good example of being able to give you some sort of vertical climb that you would recognize how much thrust it may have. But unfortunately, I caught a ghost branch and I fell down. And if we look at that crash, we can see that the prop is in view here. Ignore the one on the right because that one does not come on. It's the one on the left, but you can see it spinning in this frame. We go a frame forward, keep edging forward. Now it's gone. So this didn't even hit the ground. It hit a tree and then broke off. Now maybe that's normal for these size of motors. This is my first experience with this size of motor and striking a tree branch. And those aren't big, sturdy tree branches. Those are just the branches, you know, up near the top of the tree. So that should give you some indication of the durability of these motors, which to me, it doesn't seem like they're very durable. So until they come out with a V2 or something where they change whatever compound they're using for the motor stem into something else, I wouldn't use these just because they're not going to handle crashes very well. Next up, I'll put some Sunny Skies on here and give it a go because I did enjoy that ability to go out front and fly when the kids are out front. And that's something that I think when it gets warmer, I'll have more kids out front and maybe we can have a little more flying fun together. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please leave those in the section down below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.